Okay, newly sworn in Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is raising eyebrows with a profane remark about President Trump.
And when your son looks at you and says, "Mama, look, you won," bullies don't win. And I said, "Baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the motherfucker."
Well, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders responded to that moments ago. Here she is.
Look, you're not going to impeach this president when he's had two of the most successful years that any president has had in modern history. The only reason they want to come after this president is because they know that they can't beat him. They can't beat him when it comes to a policy debate, and they're not going to beat him when it comes to 2020. They have no solutions for America. People are sick and tired of playing politics. They want them to come to Washington and actually work with the president to get something done. All
right, joining us now to discuss this and so much more, SE Cup, David Axelrod and Scott Jennings. The president tweeted something exactly the same, S.E., that's why she's saying something like that, because he's been too successful. The past 2 years have been too successful. I know you're tired of winning.
I'm tired of all the winning.
I know you're tired of all the winning, number one.
Yeah.
So that's their talking point today about why people are talking about impeachment already.
I actually really liked Jerry Nadler's talking point. You just had him on. He said, I don't like that language. And I don't think she's right that you can go after impeachment before the evidence is there. I think that's the right response to this. This is awful language. And I know everyone will say, but Trump. I agree. I'm with you. Trump has coarsened the language around politics to a really disturbing effect. The response should not be to match it. The response should be to rise above it and present clear policy arguments and even emotional arguments that don't have to go down to the basement of MFer. But Jerry Nadler is right. It's too early for impeachment. And that's, I think, the more important point about what she said.
Can you imagine 10 years ago, SE Cup, with the caption, Jerry Nadler is right?
It's the upside down, John.
I was going to say, I never thought I would see the day. David Axelrod, I will note that people on Twitter, liberals particularly, don't even like that we're suggesting there's something wrong with Representative Tlaib saying they should impeach the mother blanker. People are saying it was just locker room talk.
Why are you reading
things,
Twitter?
David? It's interesting. But David, you know, if someone had said this about your former boss, President Obama, if a Republican member of Congress had said that about President Obama, it would have been a big deal.
It would have been a big deal, and I don't think it was the right thing to do. But there were members on the Republican side who did things like that and were called out for it. Look, I think impeachment, this has been a long-running debate within the Democratic Party. I think impeachment can't be a kind of casual political tool. It has to be done with, I think Nadler was right. It has to be done on the basis of very, very clear evidence, and it has to be done only under certain circumstances. Otherwise, it becomes just one more tool in the political toolbox, and every president is going to face that. So I actually think the approach that Nadler laid out is the right approach. Wait and see what Mueller has to say. Wait and see what's in his report. And if it rises to the level that you can make a clear case to 100% of the country that the president has violated his oath, then you move forward.
Scott, I am just curious about the wording that she used. I know that all of our innocent ears are very offended this morning, but I am curious about what S.E. said, which is the coarsening of dialogue. Is decorum dead, or am I overstating it?
Well, what I thought was noteworthy about what she claimed to have said is that she claimed to have said it to her child. I mean, this wasn't saying it to a room full of partisans, off the cuff. This was her recounting her own words to her child, which, I mean, I don't know if that has anything to do with our political discourse, but makes me wonder how she speaks to her child. I mean, with S.E. Cup and Jerry Nadler on the same page, all I can say is Donald Trump is a hell of a drug. I mean, it's really amazing to me that we're cherry picking Nadler's comments about impeachment when earlier in the interview, right out of the gate, he said, "We're not going to wait for the Mueller report." That was a direct quote. And then he went in to list all the things that he was going to do before the Mueller report even comes out. Nancy Pelosi is not going to be able to hold these folks back. You've got these new freshmen who want to impeach the president, not just because they do, because their supporters do. Almost 80% of Democrats in CNN's exit polls in the midterms said they wanted Democrats to start impeachment proceedings. This issue is on the front burner whether Pelosi likes it or not.
Here's how Nancy Pelosi is responding.
Your reaction to that comment?
I probably have a generational reaction to it. But in any event, I'm not in the censorship business. I don't think that, I mean, I don't like that language. I wouldn't use that language. I don't, again, establish any language standards for my colleagues. But I don't think it's anything worse than what the president has said.
Now, Eliana, Pelosi obviously downplaying the dissension in the ranks, but clearly Dems are not all on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the issue, I think, the focus there was more the impeachment issue than the crass language, and Pelosi clearly ducked that question. But it's very clear that Pelosi is going to face enormous pressure from the left flank of her party. Many of these young new members who ran on impeaching the president, and many of them ran in opposition to Pelosi. Obviously, she persevered in that fight, but it's going to be something, I think, particularly after Bob Mueller releases his report, that she's going to have to contend with a lot of pressure to impeach Donald Trump, and weighing whether that is politically beneficial to the Democratic Party ahead of the 2020 election, and whether it's politically savvy to let that be done at the ballot box or in the House of Representatives.
And she's getting a big push right now. We already saw articles of impeachment introduced by Congressman Brad Sherman of California yesterday as one of the first orders of business and his priority. Here's Jerry Nadler, though, this morning. He's the new chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, who would obviously play a big role in any impeachment proceeding. He's reacting to those comments from Tlaib.
I don't really like that kind of language, but more to the point, I disagree with what she said. It is too early to talk about that intelligently. We have to follow the facts. We have to get the facts.
Mark, what's your take on all the talk about impeachment or not?
I agree with him. I mean, you could just play that clip over and over and over again. It shows some reason why he should go down this path. The Democrats should go down this path and look to impeach the president. Let's just wait for the Mueller report, see what happens. Let Congress do its job overseeing the executive branch, with these investigations. Let's see where it goes. But impeaching the president right now is really kind of a political and a ridiculous and in many ways a reckless thing to talk about.